Good evening, happy Sunday, and welcome to the Rovertime Podcast, episode number 13. I am Stan Konopka. I am sitting in hosting the episode for Mark Wazz, who is doing, I would assume, summer things. I have with me our resident German, Minding Freedom.
I wish I would be Morgan Freeman, but I'm not.
Don't we all? And we welcome back, after a little bit of a break, welcome back, Flex.
Hello.
So it seems like in comparison to the spring, it feels like the last week has actually been, knock on wood, fairly quiet in the grand scheme of things. I think where we have to lead off is something that I personally don't. I feel it's the mainstream media's newest Christmas gift, or at least that's what they think, and then it turns out to be a pair of socks, is Donald Trump Jr. and the meeting with the Russian lawyer. From what I understand it, essentially he arranged, this lawyer said that she might have some information about the Hillary Clinton campaign. They arranged a meeting, met with her. Turns out she had a whole lot of nothing about the campaign, but there has been talk and accusations of collusion. Some people have even thrown out treason, which I saw an interview, a brief interview yesterday with Alan Dershowitz, and he said treason, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. This is nowhere near treason. And since he being a Hillary supporter, I tend to take his word on that, because if you would think if he wanted to slam Trump and his family and campaign, he would. So my personal opinion, I feel this is a whole to-do about nothing. It's going to turn out to be just the latest, ooh, look, Russia, Russia, and nothing come of it. What are your opinions on this situation?
I feel like this was a really badly played effort to stomp out the Russia thing once and for all. And I think it could have been, had they come forward and said, yes, it was this Russian lawyer, and it was this Russian-born former employee of Moscow who now works as an American lobbyist and walks the halls of Congress regularly, and they had nothing. This looked like it was probably a setup or something, and it turned out to be nothing, and so we didn't follow up any further. That would have been the end of it. It's the trickles of information that's killing this and making it into more than it is.
Right. Where it seems like every time that there's talk about it, there are 6 people. There's 8 people. More people that. Now there seems to be some deflection. Well, Obama's administration let her in the country, and trying to deflect, that attention away.
Honestly, that is the most interesting part of it. Why was she in the country? That's not a typical thing, and was she given access by another state's requests, and why did that go through DOJ?
Right.
So once again, we come away from a Russia narrative, and we ask ourselves, is anyone investigating Loretta Lynch? Because
no. Yeah,
I think this is becoming a recurring theme of the Russia stories.
Yeah, I do feel that's a, and honestly, when it comes to Russia, I just don't care anymore. I mean, it's, there's the old story of the boy who cried wolf. This has gone miles beyond this, where I feel like they would need, some sort of photograph of Trump and Putin, assassinating someone in order for me to even care, because, they make such, it's not exactly a lateral comparison, but, it's like the Rachel Maddow when she got the Trump tax returns, which was like, who cares? But, they inflate these things to be, the biggest story, that has ever been. Oh, and this is it. This is the smoking gun. This is it. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's a private citizen. He's not part of the campaign. So,
to be fair, he is Trump's son, and he is
the
head of his business empire that he didn't relinquish holdings on. So there's more than a tangential connection. But I would still say at no point has anyone actually brought up a legitimate crime that's been committed.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So
they seem to be stretching for it's this, it's that. It's like, okay, again, it seems to be the, shall we say, par for the course with Trump, where it's like, okay, the optics or how this looks, publicly, it's not great. It's a little scratching of the head, but there's nothing illegal.
That's the thing. But the optics are all in how they're laying it out. Like when Donald Jr. came out with the tweets and the mails, at first I was like, oh, I know instantly that it's nothing. Like, there will have to be something very big for me to go back on that statement of, if he's releasing them, they know this is nothing. And then had it just ended there, every single person who's like, you guys have no proof and you're grasping at straws, just has to say they released the emails themselves. That's as close as they've ever gotten, and that's the end of it. And that shuts down everything. But then, oh, well, the lawyer was a Russian prosecutor. She did technically work for the government at some point, right? And then it's like, well, but she was a prosecutor, like a low-level position, not even in Moscow. Like, oh, well, now there's this, this former counterintelligence spy, like as if that's public knowledge to the universe, or Trump Jr. would have known that at all.
Right.
As far as from what it looks like, this was my best guess is that the lobbyist wanted to talk to Trump about sanctions or something business related directly, and wanted to find a back alley to get through there when he couldn't get a legitimate meeting with him as a lobbyist. And he tried to use this lawyer to set up a deal where I have information on Hillary and hoping to get a meeting that way. That seems vastly more plausible than we're going to do this coordinated leak. And, for Trump Jr., I have to agree. Like, somebody calls you, says, I have dirt on the next president of the United States. You take the meeting.
Absolutely, you take the meeting. Yeah, right? I mean, why wouldn't you?
Especially when she's already under investigation by the FBI, or might be, and she's seemingly gotten away with other crimes in the past. You don't just hand that off. And who's going to believe you if you do? Oh, some loon job lawyer called me and said they had dirt on Hillary. Okay, there's crack job number 2,968,000, and we'll follow up on it someday. But if it's legitimate, you never know. And at the end of the day, what is the morally right thing to do there? You have the meeting and see if they're a crackpot. And it turned out they were a crackpot.
Absolutely. I did get some great humor and almost a little sadness over, I don't know if you saw this, but apparently there was a reporter who had been working on this story for a year. And then when Trump Jr. just released all the emails, like his entire story that he'd been working on, essentially just got shit to bed, and he was tweeting, a year, and he releases all the damn emails. A year I've been working. I'm like, what? A year you were working on this? What is there to work on for a year? It doesn't seem that. I mean, this that to me is like, what precisely were you working on? It seems like the stuff's coming out pretty quickly.
But isn't that obvious? He was working on setting up the meeting with that Russian lawyer, whatever. He was the one who set it all up.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
I love a little tinfoil hattery.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
that's the thing. When there is no story, it will take an infinite amount of time to find the proof of said story, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's been spending a year trying to get the info on this meeting that meant nothing.
Yeah, and I feel like that's when it comes to Russia, that seems to be kind of the standard is, well, this means something, but we don't know what yet. Well,
let's think. With all of it,
that's what they've been saying all along. It all means something, but you have nothing.
it all starts with wherever you start is where you're going to end up in the analysis of it. If you start from the presumption of innocence, then none of this is dispositive proof against that, right? And none of it adds up to an actual crime or any real wrongdoing or anything that's particularly unethical. Like, some of it looks a little like, why did you do that? You knew it was going to look bad. If you, like, in retrospect, that's easy to call out. If you start from the assumption that Trump is evil and obviously had to do evil things to win against, Hillary Clinton because he's such a boorish asshole, well, then at the end of the day, he had to have done something corrupt. And this is obviously, secondary evidence of him doing corrupt things. So it doesn't help anyone to actually come to any conclusion. None of it's convincing to anyone who believes that, there's no burden of proof has been breached. And it doesn't help anyone who is already presuming guilt to change their mind either. So it's just more ratings.
Yeah, which I don't even understand that, because I mean, unless it has to be some tinfoil hattery where they're like, oh, good, new Russian stuff. It's like, it's just wearisome. It's like, find something else.
My thing is, people keep comparing this to the birther argument that Trump made, and that's sort of been a pretty big rallying cry of defense when people say, like, the media is just going after him for nothing. And they say, well, Trump went after Obama on the birther thing. And it's like, well, actually, there's a really simple solution to the birther problem. That was to release the birth certificate. And beyond the forgery questions that are still sort of up in the air, I think, but maybe not. Beyond that, if you accept what Obama finally released as his long-form birth certificate, everyone was like, oh, okay, and then we all moved on, right?
Right.
So, but that was that you can completely disprove that point by, the evidence that the Obamas provided, and most of the, rational world said, oh, okay, and we all dropped it. And then, but now there's no way to disprove the accusation of collusion, right? You can't. Right. You can't, you could account for every second of Trump's life, and they're just going to say, oh, well, he made up his itinerary. There are holes in it here. And anything that's even slightly mistaken is going to be evidence of the crime, right? It's all circumstantial, and none of it's concrete, and it doesn't actually show anything. But at the end of the day, why did Russia have to collude with Trump to do anything? They didn't want Hillary in office.
I don't. I'll admit anymore when it comes to Russia, I just, this might be an outdated reference, but I hear the Charlie Brown teachers, wah, 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 wah. Like, that's literally what I hear. I'm like, I don't care. I mean, when the mainstream, media, I mean, they went after Ivanka because she wore a pink dress to the G20 meetings. I'm like, are you serious? This is you scream to the high heavens when who was the guy? Oh God, old man moment. Who got fired from Fox. Bill O'Reilly. When Bill O'Reilly made a comment about Maxine Waters' hair and looking like James Brown, oh, that was the most racist, offensive thing ever. But you're literally, attacking a woman because she wore a pink dress and it's too girly. Can you all just stop? Just stop.
So here's the thing. I mean, the first lady does take and this has been a relatively new thing. I think Laura Bush was the first one to really catch this, where the husband's faults suddenly transcended onto the wife. Because I feel like Hillary, at least until the Monica stuff, where she started the right-wing conspiracy, she may have actually started this concept in people's mind that the spouse takes on as a proxy for the president. But Michelle definitely took it. We know Melania is going to take it for the entire time Trump's in there. Laura Bush took it as well, where people attack them because they're married to the person in office.
This wasn't even his spouse. This is his daughter. Oh, I mean, this is Ivanka. This wasn't even Melania.
It's family, and it's still.
Yeah,
it's
I mean, But it's like maybe slam something she said. Did she sound stupid? Did she say something stupid? No, she wore a pink dress.
That's the thing. They can't, because Ivanka's frankly seems to be the brains, and they can't slam her too much because she is the most globalist friendly portion of the White House that's left, and she's pretty much untouchable. She's not going to get kicked out, right? Because she's Trump's favorite daughter. Which, by the way, totally backs up that whole he's a complete misogynist thing where, he's definitely preferenced out his daughter over his son. Trump Jr. is basically a figurehead just manning the post at Trump headquarters, and Ivanka is literally grooming to run for president someday. So, that is, I think that whole narrative kind of gets blown out of the water. So the left can't attack him too much on her unless she actually does something wrong, or on very superficial things like the pink dress.
Right. Which I just found that, because even Merkel was like complimentary of her. And it's like, okay, so you guys have nothing, but the pink dress, that's what we have to go to.
I mean, at first they had the whole sit-in story, like, how dare she sit in on the president's chair at the meeting? How dare she? She's not elected. And then it was, ironically enough, it was Merkel who said, no, that's actually common practice for everyone. If you can't attend, you have someone else close to you, someone from your delegation sit in. So this was nothing out of the ordinary. And they were like, okay, but her dress, and that's where they found the other angle, and it was so cringy.
I almost wonder if, it frankly makes me feel a little dirty knowing that Angela Merkel was complimentary of, at least defending us somehow. It makes me kind of, wonder about that.
Was it Sticks 666? He goes on pretty extensively, like, about how Ivanka and Kushner are possibly globalist plants inside that administration, and they may be vastly more friendly to a lot of the globalism, and they may not be totally on board with Trump's whole thing.
Globalist plant sounds a little bit weird saying about Ivanka, who is the president's daughter.
But that's the thing. She is.
Were they planting the global? Were they planting her in Melania's womb, or no? It wasn't Melania.
No. The idea is that Kushner is the Chris Ray gun of that relationship, and is causing an ideological shift via intercourse.
So basically, he's fucking her brains out, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
I got you. All right.
So wait. Jared Kushner is basically the blue pill penis.
Yes. That is the theory, I suppose.
New tinfoil hattery. Jared Kushner is a blue pill penis. You heard it here first on the Rovertime Podcast.
I mean, it's not like there aren't any blue pills for penises, but
I don't think it's a huge stretch. She is definitely the most liberal major player in the administration right now.
Yeah, and I mean, if she's smart, she can just, what she seems to be, just keep playing the way she is, and, she can affect more change by, not going full crazy or full SJW, by just, getting to sit in on these meetings, getting to, she has her father's ear. I mean, really,
yeah.
Who else has a better line to the president's ear right now than his pride and joy daughter, Ivanka? I mean,
well, if you look at the timeline where she was not involved with the campaign for a very long time and didn't take an active role in it very much at all until Trump sort of reached that apex of he is a horrible human being, and it was affecting the brand, and it was affecting her future prospects.
Right.
At which point she joined into the campaign, and things definitely went on an upward trajectory from that point. Probably because she can exert a lot more control over her father's outbursts than just about anybody else. And her and Kellyanne Conway may have been able to double team that and actually keep him under wraps for that last couple of months stretch where he really, nailed in getting the presidency. That probably has a lot. If I'm being as cynical as I humanly can be, she's looking out for number one in her future, and she knew that if her father had lost the election, the family name would have become worthless. And instead, now she's parlayed it into a like I said, very much a potential political run in the not too distant future.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think much like the mainstream media, I think we beat Russia to death here once again. So I think the next big item from the week, and Minding did a great video on this, which I'm sure he has linked in the description below.
I didn't, but there's a link to my channel.
All right, so go check it out, and he's going to give us the all you need to know from the perspective of a German about net neutrality. So go ahead and give us the who's, whos, and the what's it's on that.
Okay, so basically net neutrality was in the news because Amazon, Reddit, Google, and many, many, many more, including Pornhub as well, which some of you may know, set a net neutrality day of action for July 12th. So last or this Wednesday. And there was a website put up called battleforthenet.com, which is still up, I think. And people were encouraged to send a comment, an email, whatever, through a form on the page to the FCC, basically saying they want net neutrality to stay in place. That's why it was trending on Twitter. That's why it was in the news. And if you don't know by now what net neutrality actually is, it's basically the idea that whatever traffic there is in the internet, it has to be treated the same, independent of the source, the content, the do I get it down? The type or the recipient. So you can't discriminate against anybody. You can't discriminate against any content type, any actual content. That would be a free speech issue, or against any recipient. And what the FCC is trying to do, newly appointed, or is he appointed or elected? I think he's appointed.
He's appointed.
Yeah, FCC chairman Ajit Pai is to change internet service providers, or ISPs, from a Title II to a Title I service. Title II would be a utility. Title I would be an information service. And therefore, ISPs would be exposed to less regulation, less reporting, but also they could discriminate against certain sources, or even discriminate for certain sources, certain recipients, and basically ending net neutrality.
So let's be clear: there is no net neutrality as of today. This is a change that is upcoming. This is a repeal of changes of rules.
No, there is net neutrality right now.
No, there isn't. These are rules that are coming into effect very soon, which is why the repeal of them was important timing-wise for them. We haven't actually had these rules. So that's why the argument that this is somehow like a drastic change has always been odd to me. The Obama administration literally put these in shortly before the end of their term. So, like, that was arguably a good thing, but here's my thing. The FCC is the wrong way to go about this, because it is an administrative body that doesn't particularly have a lot of force other than we fine you, right? They can't compel companies to do things. They can't create frameworks to do things. They can't standardize things. They only can go around. They can ban people from bandwidth auctions on wireless. That's one of their powers. But there needs to be a better legal framework around this, I think.
I just looked that up, what you said, that it is not in effect, and that is actually wrong. So I have to play this one.
Very fake news.
Because what I read here is that these rules of Title II went into effect on June 12th, 2015.
They were passed on June 12th, 2015. They don't take effect.
They were passed on April 13th, 2015, and they went into effect June 12th, 2015. This is how it is right now.
I remember when they passed this, and everyone was like, no, these rules don't come into effect for a while anyway, so ISPs aren't really being negatively affected. They'll just have to plan around them. There may have been provisions of it, but like I said, this is not what the internet was built on, I guess is the better way of putting it. This is
that is true.
So this is not the internet was born as this net neutral thing, and no, we've discriminated against types of data long before, and it was a definite requirement technically for the internet to get where it is now. USBs had limits of bandwidth, and they had content and type limits. You couldn't stream video on services to this day. In fact, we don't have real net neutrality because I guarantee you, go try to host an email server on your residential connection. Find out how quickly you get your connection cut completely legally. Because it's a huge security risk. When people used to do this, that was how a lot of phishing scams and spamming bots got created.
Yeah, I mean, there is some discrimination if there is an actual security risk. That is, I mean, you have to weigh the thing. You have to weigh things against each other. You have to weigh rates against each other.
Here's the thing: you have the FCC, that is an unelected body that is completely appointed, appointed in such a Byzantine way that it really favors this two-party structure that we have. If you're a minority third party in Congress, you get zero representation on the FCC. The White House gets one, the minority party gets another. The way it is worked out is just not democratic at all, and favors these entrenched powers. So it becomes a lobbying body. And our current fight in net neutrality is two major corporations fighting, basically Comcast and Verizon on one side and Netflix and Google on the other, wanting the other to not have to pay or having to pay them for some material or pay for infrastructure to cover their expanded bandwidth use. And that's not what we should be having our government do.
I mean, the problem I have with this, and I think it is a very, very simplistic argument to just say, well, it's the government and therefore it's bad. I think the government does have some reason to be, and I think regulations like this are one of them.
Yeah, but here's the thing: what are they stopping currently? They're stopping Netflix from having to pay connection agreements, which other large data users have had to pay or become first-party or first-tier data providers themselves. That's the thing. Netflix is trying to dodge a lot of investment in infrastructure while they are the largest consumer of that infrastructure. And we don't accept that in any other industry. We don't even accept that in utilities. But that's what effectively Netflix is going to get out of this.
I mean, if net neutrality goes into place, what we will have is not just Netflix, but everyone will have to pay if they want those fast lanes. It's not like
again, this didn't exist for 20 years of internet. This idea of a fast lane, and consumers, where it was tested, rejected it soundly and hated it and complained about it, and never got rolled out beyond some trial programs. But yet, it is the biggest threat in the universe.
It's not the biggest threat in the universe.
I mean, the way people are acting, you would think it would have been. Like somehow the internet is going to die tomorrow if you have to wait 5 seconds.
I see it as a threat, not the biggest threat in the universe, but I see it as a problem, because with the structure you have right now on the ISP market in the US, with so few ISPs with so much power. I think the big five, Comcast, Charter, Verizon, AT&T, and CenturyLink, have like, oh god, how much market power do they have? I think they have like over, oh god, I had to look that up. See, I'm totally unprepared.
No, it'll be better than 70 or 80% at least, and it's obscenely bad. That's the core of the problem. And net neutrality doesn't do it. In fact, makes that problem worse. Because here's the thing: what you can do without net neutrality is you can have a zero market entrant. You can have somebody who says, "Hey, I will sell you internet, and I will sell you just text and images, and I will throttle video, but I will let you get that for $5 a month." So if it's text or image that I can get over you quickly, I can compress the crap out of it. Yeah, you'll get a little bit diminished, but it can be very cheap. You can't do that under Title II rules. But you could do that if we had an actual legal framework around net neutrality. But you see, no one's going. You would think that or ISPs are lobbying against net neutrality hard. They will lobby against zero market entrants way harder.
I mean, if you found, is that the right word? Mm-hmm. If you found a new ISP from scratch, just entering the market, and you offer just text and images, I don't think you will have a lot of I don't think you will get any subscribers at this point.
Maybe, but here's the thing: if it's $40 for slow lane internet from Comcast, and I get crappy video anyways, and I'm already paying for my cable, and all I really do is go to Facebook. You know what? Yeah, that $5 is a better deal. I'm gonna switch my internet off of my cable bill and go to that.
Facebook has video. Facebook has video as well, so
it does, but it doesn't mean anyone watches them. God, Facebook videos are crap.
I agree, but they're still there, and they would have to be loaded.
No, that's the thing. They don't have to be loaded quickly. Like,
okay, yeah.
This is the thing. There are technical things you can do that allow for that under market pressure that is huge strategically, and especially for new entrants into the market. Also, you can't have luxury service. Like, there's no market for that because everyone has to have the same level of service, right? So here's the thing. If Comcast says, yeah, we're going to do fast lanes, we're rolling that across the nation in every market we service, all of a sudden, like, especially people like me who have a lot of disposable income are going to say, you know what? Probably worth $1,000 to have fiber put to my door. And I'm willing to pay more for that, the internet that I'm used to and that I like. And hello, then there's a new competitor. Right now, the entrenched powers, the big five, have the infrastructure. They have costs. They don't have enough legacy costs to push them out of the industry yet. That won't come for 20 or 30 years. And if they structure correctly, it never will. So they're effectively in this position where they can create a moat around themselves. And they can compete just enough on price to make sure that it's never profitable for someone to come in and build new infrastructure, but they never have to invest enough in the actual infrastructure themselves to get it beyond where it is today. And that's the worst case scenario for us. So unless we're going to go with a full distance and start mandating what level of service ISPs have to start offering, I don't think we can call it a utility. Because that's what we do in utilities. With water and electrical, we say you are going to have this level of water pressure to every home in the areas you service. Otherwise, we'll find someone who will do it. For electricity, same thing. You will be able to provide this wattage at this voltage, and it will be done, or you will not be a service provider to this area. We aren't doing that with internet.
I mean, I agree with you that there has to be some other framework in the long term. The way it is right now it's not even near perfect.
I understand the don't let the perfect be the enemy of good argument in this, and I used to agree with it a lot more. I still sort of agree with it on this subject. I'm kind of for the Title II requirement from the FCC, as other people have made the argument. And I understand it and I get it, and logically I want to find the value in it. I just have no faith in there actually being better rules, so long as the system is still at this sort of quasi-stable point where everyone's like, everything's good. And so it's just going to continually keep getting marginally worse until we hit a breaking point. And then somebody says, well, internet's a right. And these ISPs, they're not delivering it. We should nationalize them because internet's too important.
Yeah, I mean, if someone goes that route, that will be shit.
You're shit, minding.
I totally agree. If we're like, oh no. if we ever say, or if the US ever says, nationalize the ISPs, will be fucked in both holes simultaneously.
Oh, there's more than two.
I have to say, I've never one of the things I didn't understand about this whole, argument about the fast lanes. I have Charter, essentially. It's Spectrum / Time Warner Cable, and they have a variety of levels of service from, essentially AOL dial-up speed to, 300 megabytes. And I'm like, okay, so if I want the faster lane, I can pay for it. So the people that were complaining about that, I didn't understand. I'm like, that's already going on. I'm like, I understand the argument of, okay, well, if you go visit, if I go visit, Pornhub versus, Mr. Skin, those will be quicker than going to, Dr. Manhattan's personal, porn website that he hosts. I understand, I understand,
very amazing
I understand those complaints where it's like, okay, I should be able to, whatever speed I pay for, I should be able to visit all, every site should have the equal speed.
My profile picture is a representation of the orgasm that is had in my videos.
Okay, well, I'm happy for you. And you should probably go get that looked at by a doctor.
Probably should.
But,
I piss uranium.
As far as the, what what Lex said about the utility, I at what level, like you said, there has to be a certain level for the water, a certain level for electricity, because there is such a huge variety or diversity of levels of service that can be offered on the internet. I don't know how they could ever say, okay, well, this is the minimum you have to offer as a utility.
Oh, no, I mean, that's
okay. I think there's a misunderstanding on the term of fast lanes. Fast lanes doesn't mean that you, as a consumer, get a fast lane to everything. That you just get faster internet. That's not the idea of a fast lane. The fast lane is that you can access one service or a specific number of services in the internet way faster than the rest. That's the idea.
Really,
and that could be based on. Shut up, Lex.
I'm trying to explain it for you in a little bit better way.
No, I'm not done. That can be based on type. For example, video, text, images, whatever. You can access text and images faster, or you can get a fast lane to videos. That was what Lex was talking about. You can also have a fast lane based on really a service. A company saying, "Oh, you get fast access to YouTube," and or all of our customers get a fast lane to YouTube, but not to other video pages, because we don't like their competitors.
So this is the thing, and it's better to think of it as an actual slowdown, because that's what it is. They're slowing down traffic to quote unquote competitors or those that haven't paid them a fee, which I agree. On its face is a little shady, but all this kind of sources back to bigger root problems. One, FTC allowing too many mergers between ISPs and media companies when they needed a more separate division, because now they have competing interests. Then the second one is the FTC failing to enforce advertising laws in bandwidth, and that Americans especially have been oversold on bandwidth to a point that is comically bad. Like, we pay for 50 megabit connections, and we're lucky. We would be lucky to be able to sustain an 8 megabit connection. For
that's ridiculous. That's not even what it is in Germany. In Germany, you have to be able as an ISP to at least provide half of what you're advertising.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. The U.S. is really, really bad on that, and that's a problem.
50 is ridiculous.
I will say, I mean, as far as that, I mean, I do get the speed as far as download. Upload, it's something I need to speak with them about. But
upload is always different from download, except for some certain connections.
Yeah, that's by design because they use more channels on your kind of cable modem for download than upload. Because most people do more download than upload. Exactly. But that's it's like at high traffic times. Right. It's that thing of like, well, normally you have like a 50 megabit connection. So at midnight on Sunday night you have a 50 megabit connection, but on Friday at 5 o'clock, all of a sudden you have like a meg and a half because they don't have enough uplink at the hub for your entire neighborhood to be watching Netflix at the same time. And
I appreciate the the clarification on Fastlane. It does makes sense to me. But as I think about that, that kind of and I realize it's probably comparing apples to oranges, but people essentially paying for, shall we say, premium service is not a new thing. I mean, think about any grocery store you go into. There are people, Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, who will pay extra money to make sure that their products are front and center as soon as you walk in the door. And then you've got, Joe's Soda Shack, who you have to walk, if you want it, essentially to the other end of the store, way back in the corner, to find it. I mean, it may be I realize it's not, an on-level comparison, but, any sort of a service, you have to, I mean, there's always been, think about advertising. People that pay better money are going to get the primetime slots. People that pay less are going to be put on at 3 a.m. during, what should be Don Lemon's slot time on CNN.
So on the alternative to that, though, the internet is one of the powerful things and the awesome things about the internet is the democratization of a lot of entities and systems. And I respect the idea, and I really love the idea of keeping that. And I think it is the thing that really makes it special. So you're right. We totally do this in lots of other areas, which is why, like, my first instinct is to be like, well, no, this is just fine. Mm-hmm. But then I come back to, well, no, the internet has the capability of having all of us on the same footing. So I think, it totally should be a goal to get us there and to keep us there so that, a small channel on YouTube is getting the same level of service as CNN or, all this. And it's all about the idea and the content and the advertising, what you put into it and who you connect with. If that can be our goal, awesome. But I just don't think the FCC is the way to get there.
Yeah.
Like, that's my real issue. This is a group that ran the fairness doctrine for 50 years. They're still literally the only component of the federal government that's allowed to censor speech by fining. They literally issue fines to people who curse on network and cable television. Cable television is a private broadcasting system that is not on the public airwaves.
Well, and with the FCC, they can fine people, but someone has to complain about it.
I agree with you on that.
They have to have a complaint about it.
I agree with you on that. The funny thing on German TV, it's completely fine to cuss how much you want. It doesn't matter. It's all fine. And
unless it's against a Muslim.
No. Even that, I mean, you could get a letter from an attorney or something. That might happen, but I mean, if it's legal speech, you can cuss how much you want. And the funny thing is, a lot of American who are on German TV, they like to use this and they like to cuss so much.
They just stare at the camera. Fuck!
I think the best one to ever do it was Eminem, who was on a German TV show, who is unfortunately defunct now for I think 2 or 3 years, which was TV Total, TV Total. That was the name, and I'm pretty sure it is somewhere on YouTube. Just take a look at Eminem TV Total. I think this should come up with some good stuff and some good cussing. He even what Americans always do if they encounter someone whose native tongue is not English, they ask them for curse words.
Well, that's what everyone. That's what every language does. And you'll have to forgive me, mine, if I don't take the German handling of how speech and things should be presented as something we should strive for.
This is like I'm not saying that it's the worst thing in the world to have some decency laws on, especially network TV where it's being broadcast over the airwaves and literally anyone can pick it up for free. Okay, I can get the public airwaves argument as a legal basis, and I'm receptive to it if I don't love the outcome of it. But like on cable, I just don't understand. Like they just literally expanded its cable with
like
no
people
real...
literally pay for this. What's the problem exactly?
Yeah, you have to subscribe to this and bring it into your home, and yet somehow they still have these same, although a slightly watered down version that somehow makes that okay. And this is the thing: they have a scope creep and a mission creep there, and they have an ethos of control for the public good. I think that is sometimes necessary. Police need it. The military needs it. If we're going to agree that the public airwaves are a thing, then the FCC does need it. But they are not a group that should be moving into other areas where, especially spaces where censorship is the last thing you need. And I think the internet is that thing. You do not need it there. We have managed to survive without it, and I would really prefer if it stayed that way.
Yeah, but I mean, sure, and we can talk a lot about the FCC not being involved in this at any stage. But that's not how it is right now. The policy proposal is to roll back from Title II to Title I. That's the way it is.
And I think I have to. Well, I can't say for sure, but I would say I don't think it would probably be as much of a big deal if the new FCC chair didn't have heavy ties from his previous career in the in the internet industry. So there seems to be a lot of thoughts like, well, he's looking out for, his friends and most likely, probably his own self-interest. So, I mean,
that's the thing. Where are you going to get members of the FCC from? They're always going to come from the private industry providing the video, or they're going to come from government positions.
Yeah,
so,
I just think, but, I think the only, this being his first order of business, it's like, whoa, maybe let's take a step back, get yourself ease into the job a little bit, then, pull this plug, and probably, it wouldn't be cared about nearly as much. So I do say,
I don't think so. I think it would be cared about just as much.
I think especially from the businesses that, like you said, that, like Amazon, because I know like Amazon, and there was, because I went on Amazon and there was like a link here, click here to, tell them to not, take this away.
There's a set of stories I want to hear. I went on Amazon and X happened.
Well, there was another.
No. I'm saying I want to hear more of those. Like the weirdest fucking Amazon stories ever.
Oh, I don't have any weird Amazon stories.
But that's the thing. Like,
well, I can give you a little fun. I give you a fun fact. You can find a book about IEDs on it. Don't buy it. Dear God, don't do that.
So that's the thing, though. You've got Amazon has a very large streaming service, and it's a big part of their corporate future and their plans. Google, very large streaming service. YouTube, which we're on right now. Netflix, very big streaming service, largest bandwidth consumer in the nation or in the world. Apple, again, large streaming service, and again, one of the top bandwidth consumers in the world. Notice where they're all like, no, we don't want to pay any more money to ensure that our connections stay fast and agile to our customers. And then you've got, on the other side, Verizon and Comcast and Charter and all that. I'm all saying, these guys are doing things with the internet that we couldn't have envisioned 20 years ago when we designed our broadband systems. And they're sinking our other businesses that were supporting a lot of this from our media sides. We need some money from somewhere, or, internet doesn't get any faster. We don't have infrastructure money to put into it. And I get that argument on both sides without being cynical for either of them, which I think both of them are incredibly, at least in their strategic decision making, which they should be.
Okay. I understand that you don't really trust the large bandwidth consumers, and you don't really trust the large ISPs. Let's look at another, loose group that took a stance, that mostly took a stance on the net neutrality issue. Small ISPs. What do you think where they fall on this issue?
How many of them are that small?
I think we've got a few. I think there's something like, what was the name? I think I mentioned in my video Sonic from California, which has like 350,000 subscribers. So let's just say everything below 500,000, I would say.
Yeah, like that's the thing. They're looking at a way to hurt larger competitors. Like I could see them being for it. I could also see them being against it if they wanted to offer 0-level entries. But most of them are going to be luxury providers. So at this point, right now, they probably want the rules to stay the same as they intended in the last couple of years. They don't want any change. And Comcast and the Big Five don't want any change in the plans they made 20 years ago. That's what everybody's trying to do, is they don't want to have to change their plans and pay for anything new. That's my assumption. And
well, at the end of the day, these big companies are always going to want to do what's going to work out best for their bottom line. And if I mean,
yeah,
we always talk about how the free market and competition is paramount, and
that's the thing.
Okay.
I totally see the honestly great argument against the fast lane stuff and the corporate collusion inside these somewhat separate, like paper wall divisions of this is our media company and this is our internet service provider, and yet like if we're offering cross deals here that aren't really fiscally backed, like it's not because we can cut out connections or because it's all in the same server center, so that cuts costs for us and we offer a better deal. Like none of that's logistic there, that happens anyways. It's all still siloed off. So that I agree, that is a thing that we could outlaw specifically and actually have a narrowly defined rule against without having it be tier 2 utility. That's the thing I don't understand about why we need the FCC to be doing this.
I mean, I agree that we don't need the FCC to do this, but right now there is no other provision to do it, and I would say let's have.
No, there's Congress. Congress goes and passes a law. Done.
Yeah, but as long as Congress doesn't do it, let's have Title II in place. After that, we can talk about anything.
No, because as long as we have this static position where everyone's kind of okay and everyone's just everyone's sort of unhappy and everyone's pretty happy with everything that's going on, we're all just in this zone where nobody wants to rock the boat. Nobody's going to take a stand on it. There's no reason. There's no political motivation. Nobody's actually doing anything great. Nobody's actually doing anything wrong. Okay, we just continue on, and that's what we can get. That's why it's not the end of the universe for them to continue these rules.
Yeah, but as soon as Title II is repealed or whatever the word
literally
is,
nothing will change. I guarantee you, they're going to repeal it. Nothing will change for like a good 3 to 4 years, at least.
No, I don't think so. It will not come within days or weeks, but there will be change early on, and I think there will be early fast lanes for probably type based, just because that's the easiest thing, and they will be like, oh yeah, text, sure, of course, and images, yeah, okay, that's not heavy traffic. Videos, nah, yeah, we slow that down a little, and I think that will be one of the first effects.
And that's the thing, from a technical standpoint, I'm legitimately okay with that. That is fine. Like, there is a real issue of changing usages of the internet and how they're not well planned for, and there's no way you can update a system with 300 million people without somebody paying that cost. And I'm not sure if you're beholden to put that on ISPs alone to bear the brunt of consumer outrage about having to pay those higher fees when they are so badly educated about all of the issues going on with it. I think putting some of that on Netflix and some of that on Apple and some of these other major bandwidth users is not inappropriate.
I see where you're coming from. I see that, but
I get it, like there's no good solution here because
Yeah.
we made really cool toys and everyone wants to play with them and they're going to change the world. But somebody's got to pay the bill for it at the end of the day, and we have fucked ourselves hard because of the mistakes made in the past. And I just worry that we're making another one of those mistakes where we're like kicking this can down the road, and like either one of two things happens: either nothing really comes of it, and we just end up having to solve this problem later, and it's only going to get harder because no one's going to realize that, hey, companies merging together and doing all the things under the sun creates, bad situations. Or somebody's going to be like, hey, we've got a lot of authority over the internet. We can silence a bunch of hate mongers. Let's start cracking down a little bit. And, they get the right event comes along to let them take advantage of that. KKK dude goes out and mows down a bus full of school kids going to, a mosque. I guarantee you there will be a whole lot of questions about how much free speech do we really need on the internet? And I worry about that day when we have frameworks that are so loosely put together and laws that are so indiscriminate that you can literally apply a law written for a telephone system and apply it to an internet.
Yeah, but I don't think I as far as I understand Title II, I don't think this is possible under Title II. That you can be like, oh, let's see how much free speech we actually need, and boom, block.
You don't think wiretapping law is going to become really applicable to the same set of regulations used for utility companies? Like, this is a lot of power that the government has. They can wield it in a lot of ways, and they can punish corporations that don't voluntarily assist in a lot of backhanded methods. But none of them are so upfront that anyone's going to protest over them. If anyone would for Comcast.
But the problem I see is that if we change from Title II to Title I, we will have companies like Time Warner Cable. We will have companies like Comcast, companies who own CNN in the case of Time Warner Cable, who own NBC, MSNBC in case of Comcast, who will probably be saying, "Oh, wait, free speech? Well, we don't like that. We just block it on our own because we can, or we just give it the slow lane because we don't like this kind of content."
I mean, if
you will have with Comcast and Charter, I looked it up. Wait! I'm not finished. With Comcast and Charter, I just looked it up. There are 48 million subscribers, who are affected by this, or who would be affected by this. So it's not a small number. Those two, 48 million.
So here's the thing, though. Like, what evidence do you have that they would do this based on history? Because they never have done it before. And if they did, the public backlash would be insane and horrible. And then, hey, guess what? We're going to really quickly get some laws about it. And actual laws from Congress, because real hard to justify that.
Wait, the public backlash? Like if
censorship of an ISP?
Wait. If they start, like, I don't know, slowing down anti-SJW channels, for example.
If they start providing diminished service in any way in the near future, without a clear technical reasoning behind it, or at least a service agreement. If they are not selling it as an ad plus, so if you're not net getting better something from your ISP, people are just going to be like, fuck you, you're just taking stuff away from me. Even if they don't use it, they're going to complain about it. They're going to be bitchy about it, because that's what consumers do.
Consumers usually don't complain about something they don't use.
If they know they're losing ability to do things, even if they don't use them, they do quite heavily complain about it. And that's the thing.
If they never get to know that they lose this, because the ISP, I mean, they can just be like through the back door.
If people suddenly discovered, for example, because Time Warner Cable owns CNN, and the people who want to go to Fox News are finding it loads at a significantly slower speed.
I don't think they would go after Fox News because Fox News is too big. I would think they start with probably something like YouTube channels up to, I don't know, 50,000
They're already doing that
subscribers
to
or
YouTube.
20,000.
They're already doing that to YouTube channels anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing. The technical allowances in Title II still allow them to degrade video service. Like, that's the thing. Like, they can just blanket do all video. So, like, they
yeah, but they can just go for all video. They can't be like, oh, every channel below 20,000 subscribers. Yeah, they won't know anyway, so we can just through the back door, slow lane.
On a site like YouTube, yeah, they'd have a hard time making that argument. But on, like, Breitbart, if they're self-hosting videos, like, actually, no, there's still technical reasons why they could target specific sites that they claim use too much bandwidth relative to their audience size and create internet bottlenecks. Like, that's the thing. There's still technical allowances in this, so it's not foolproof stopping of anything. If ISPs really want to go the distance on this, they have ways to do it. They just can't target maybe this outlier group that is still probably going to be dedicated enough to watch the videos, like even if they had to download them.
And besides, if we've learned anything from our cable companies, it takes them forever to even get you signed up for service. So for them to do all of this stuff, I will probably be long in a wheelchair and not caring about the speed of any of it. And
but
like
if we learned anything about those companies, or not the ISPs itself, but the parent companies. It is that they take many opportunities to virtue signal if they can.
This is true, but that's the thing. At the end of the day, CNN has some, especially the parent, or CNN itself has the license to virtue signal a little bit. They have a cache of audience that wants them to virtue signal. The Comcast has no such fucking audience around them who wants to be like, yeah, awesome job, Comcast. We all just want to shit on them. Because literally, you never notice your ISP unless they're fucking you. So any opportunity you find to complain about them, you will take it. And I think that's a lot of where this is. And that's why I think they're less apt to actually abuse that. They're in a very different position. There's no love of ISP. There is love of media outlets and love for ABC and NBC. These are foundational things, logos people know from the time they grow up, stuff they watch in moments of crisis. They are literally sources of information people turn to when things are going wrong. So I think there's definitely a different dynamic there. And I would hope that if they started playing around with something like that, where they're actually going after censorship, it would be at least a rallying cry for a lot of people. And we have seen how, the likes of Poll and other internet groups can raise a huge stink very quickly and can make things very known very quickly. And I guarantee you, if they come after like the anti-SJW crowd, that won't be where they stop, because we're not threatening enough, right? They'd be doing this to more important people and people that actually have some ability to hurt them in a substantial way. Like, they don't view us as a real threat.
I mean, in German we have a saying, "Your word in God's ear." Which basically translates to something like, let's hope that happens. I mean, that's really see it, though.
I think there's the risk of something going horribly bad either way. But in the worst case scenario of not having the FCC involved is that we have bad corporations that can be replaced and dissolved fairly easily without a whole ton of effort. We've done it before numerous times. AT&T, Standard Oil, almost Microsoft, even with bad foundational reasoning. So if we actually have a good one, it might be even easier. Then you go on to, if we have the government with this power, I have not seen them give up that kind of authority ever. So, that's like basically why I come down to the, I'm kind of against the Title II thing, but I could coin flip it. Like, easily through this entire conversation, I'm like, yeah, he's got a point. That's a real risk. And my dream would be a congressional bill with a real legal framework, with directions for judges, with ways for people to fight out issues of connections and speeds and things like that in a courtroom, instead of, hey, this FCC complaint came in and you get a fine and you can't really challenge it in any legitimate way without trying to go after the entirety of their charter, basically. Which is sort of where you're stuck at now.
Okay, I think we should wrap it up here.
Yeah, I think we're gonna. This could. I mean, yeah, we seems to be kind of going in a bit of circles here. We agree to disagree, and I at this point, I think the biggest thing to say is a lot of this is what ifs. So, we'll see what happens when and if they get the power that is being proposed. I did want to share one quick, what I almost consider humorous, yet sort of in line with the ridiculousness of the world today. I would like to introduce you to Dream Machine, if you guys can see my screen.
Yeah.
This is Dream Machine, who was dropped. Yes, they are a band of today, even though that guy looks like he has a 70s haircut, porn stash.
Are you sure this isn't from the Time Machine?
No, they are from today. They were dropped.
They're taking this bit. Oh,
yes.
Seriously. Wow.
Because they have ugly opinions.
Yep.
The ugly
Wait a
opinions.
second,
yes.
Can you please pin your picture, your screen share? Should be in the Hangout under your
Sorry, I'm new today. Forgive me for my
yeah.
But anyway, I don't need to share anymore. You got the
okay.
You met Dream Machine. Their ugly opinions from the young lady of the group, who is an immigrant from Bosnia.
Oh.
Her ugly opinions were regarding feminism and feminist bands. They are horrible because they'll make songs about being sexually assaulted or how empowering abortions are or some shit, and it's fucking retarded. They're embarrassing themselves. And she also applauded ICE for cracking down on immigration because, as she said, I am an immigrant. I worked really hard to get my green card, and it really is disheartening to see all of these, what she called people who are here illegally breaking the law and are criminals. So they were subsequently dropped from their record label because Castle Face Records, because of their ugly opinions. And the interesting thing, as soon as they were dropped from their label, their records, and this story came out, their record sales relatively went through the roof.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, good for
because there's nothing the internet loves to do than to shit on people for virtue signaling.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty sure everyone on 4chan now has a Dream Machine album.
Yes, and Jay Fry just said I did mean ICE. If I said ISIS, I do apologize.
No, it's
ICE.
Jay Fry's ears that are completely clogged, and that's why he heard ISIS. You said ICE. You clearly said ICE.
Well, very.
I mean, I would like ISIS. I would like to see ISIS track down Jay Fry.
Oh no!
I wonder what that would look like.
Well, I thank you all for joining, Dr. Manhattan. Sorry we didn't get to talk to you much. Thanks for joining.
No, it's good, man. I just kind of popped in the middle of shit.
It's quite all right. Coming up in about 20 minutes is the Beauty and the Beta podcast. They are linked below. Please see the links below for all of our social media and the channels that Mining Freedom and Dr. Manhattan have as well. And please tune in next week. Comment below if you have any suggestions, other than we can probably all just go die. And
no, just minding.
Just mind. No.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
And we will end on the love fest between Doctor and Mining Freedom. Have a good night, everybody.
Why won't you love me, Minding?